finish off with the win here, and it will be Team Northwest Territories, Team Alberta. We'll give you a quick look at the lineups for both of these teams. First, starting with Team Alberta. From the Sherwood Park Curling Club, it is skip James Paul. The vice skip at third is Mark Klink. Second, Kelly Mothy, and the lead is John Schmidt. Their alternate is Corey Wilson. Team Northwest Territories from the Yellowknife Curling Center. The skip is Corey Van Thyn. The third is Tom Nogler. The second is Brad Patzer. And the lead is Quentin Deering. Both these teams had some expectations coming here to Vernon, but it has not been a week to remember for neither team. Team Alberta with a 2-6 record, Northwest Territories with a 1-7 record. But based on just the experience of both these teams, I would have expected better records from both of them, but it does happen. That is curling. There are no guarantees, and even the best players on earth have some shaky weeks, and I would say this is not a week that neither one will be happy with in terms of performance, but they're going to go home from a great week in Vernon nonetheless, having some good times with good friends and old friends and new friends here in Vernon. So we'll see what they can do here on the ice this afternoon at the Vernon Curling Club. I'm Al Cameron bringing you today's game, and it will be Alberta with last rock advantage here in the first end as Quentin Deering gets us underway for Team Northwest Territories. And we'll see what this Alberta team can put together. As mentioned, this was the silver medal team last year at the Everest Canadian Seniors in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia. Lost the final to Team Ontario. So, as mentioned, they did arrive here looking for another step up that medal podium. And just as we've kind of detailed throughout this event, it's too many half shots, and that's going to get in the way of success. And I'd say that's been kind of the issue for Team Alberta, just not able to consistently put together 8 shots in an end, and it has certainly been a factor for them. And the same could be probably said for Team Northwest Territories, and that's always going to be the key to success is consistency and never following up a miss with another miss. And that's what put the teams in the championship pool, and that's what's put the teams here in the seeding pool. So two guards up. Quentin Deering for Northwest Territories will try and get around that long Alberta center guard, and that's probably not where Alberta would have liked to have left that stone. So it's a bit of an opportunity here for the Northwest Territories. That will come up short. So definitely some granite out front to play with, and it'll be a race to see who can get behind it and cover it up first. John Schmidt looking to see if he can get there. John, like his skip, heavily into the drag racing scene for a lot of years. I don't think John's racing too terribly much anymore, but he certainly knew his way on the quarter mile. Put together a lot of Alberta championships, some track records along the way, I'm sure. James, as mentioned, he still is heavily into the drag racing scene, does a lot of racing all over North America. So now Corey Van Thyn, as mentioned, he is the skip, but he does throw second. Tom Nogler will hold the broom for him. I believe Tom throws last on this team, so see that Alberta stone went to the back 8 foot, so a chance now for Northwest Territories to follow it in, and I don't know that the freeze is what they're desiring here. They'd like to be above the tee line for sure. Working on it to get it by that top guard. See how far they can drag it, this Northwest Territories front end. Now Tom Nogler comes out to give it a hand. That's going to settle in nicely, right? Biting right on the button. Let's just put it right there, and it's in jail. So Kelly Mothy now. James Paul with last rock will ask his second to see if he can clear some granite from in front of the house, give himself a path into that 4 foot where the Northwest Territories have shot rock. Might get the straight run back. Jam. but it does leave Alberta sitting shot rock and covered. So not the conventional way that they were looking to get shot rock out of it, but they did get it done, and it isn't the top of the button too, so not a bad spot. We'll see if Corey Van Thyn can stick another Northwest Territories stone in there, maybe corner freeze to it, cut down that opportunity for two for Alberta. As mentioned, Northwest Territories coming in with just the one victory. They opened with 7 straight losses, and again, boy, that's a team that we really thought would be better than this, and they certainly have the talent. It's just any given week it happens. And there you see the kind of capability that they do have. They put one pretty close, so it is Alberta with shot rock, but the Northwest Territories do have a couple in there as well. As mentioned, the Territories did win their most recent game. That was yesterday against Nunavut, 8-3. They had a couple close games, too, losing a couple close games. They lost to Nova Scotia just 6-5, as well as the Yukon 6-5, 5-3 to Manitoba. Those are, some tough losses. You put W's on the board in those games, and it's a different week for this Northwest Territories team. So again, to be a little more granted in there, Alberta now sitting 2. But the way this ice swings, that outturn, the counterclockwise rotation certainly available here for them. And that is a high enough guard that you should get some movement around and be able to even cross the face of it. Team Alberta went 1-5 in the preliminary pools. Their lone win in that preliminary portion of the event was 8-1 over Nunavut, and since then they defeated, once got the seeding pool, they defeated Yukon 9-2 and then lost yesterday against Ontario's team Brian Cochran 8-2. There's that swing we were talking about, but it will spill out into the open. So Alberta's sitting first and third, and big opportunity here now for Mark Klink to play at that stone that was just thrown by the Territories. Certainly the tap and roll is there. Just hack weight is the call from James. Trying to keep this straight. We'll get by that guard. It will. Now, did they get the inside roll? Wow, right through the hole. See that action there? That just, once it started going sideways, it couldn't be stopped, and it's just now Alberta sitting 1. Now, it's in a great spot. Corey Van Thyn is looking to see if they can get through that hole on the left-hand side of the sheet between those two long guards. That's certainly going to be the call here for third Brad Patzer. Brad just celebrated his 51st birthday last Friday. He's the Assistant Deputy Minister in the Attorney General's Office for the Department of Justice at the Government of the Northwest Territories. Big chance here. If he can get through this hole and remove that Alberta stone, Northwest Territories will be sitting potentially 3. Just wreck on the outside stone. Now Alberta will have another chance to remove that second shot and roll in behind the guards. Mark Klink will take another pass at this. The sweep is called right away. They want to keep it on line as long as possible because they saw on his first that there is a lot of late movement. It's going to be on the guard. It will be. So just maybe not getting out to the broom. It's a couple misses from Mark that might put the Territories in a steal position here. Still is Alberta sitting shot, but now that that top guard was removed, they might be able to play the tap on their own, remove that Alberta stone that's biting the button, and couple. Definitely some swing on this outturn counterclockwise side, rotation side. So definitely a makeable shot. Just on the broom side of center would be the ideal place to make contact on that Northwest Territories stone that's sitting at the top of the house. Tom Nogler now with his first shot here in this first end. Tom owns his own company. He's the president owner of Global Storm, which is an IT service and support company based in Yellowknife. There's the raise. And a very, very nice shot from Tom Nogler. It leaves Northwest Territories sitting a couple. Both of them are protected as well. Kind of shot you'd expect from a guy like Tom, who's got a lot of national championship experience. Played in 3 Briars as a member of Jamie Cooey's team, vice skip in 2011, 2012, and 2013. Also was an alternate at 2 other Briars. Pardon me, 4 Briars he's now played with Team Northwest Territories and 2 others as an alternate. Now it looks like Alberta will just try and see if they can slash this stone that Mark Klink has his broom behind. You can make a double a couple ways. You can slash it over to the rock that's on the left, to the right of Mark Klink, his right, or straight back onto the Northwest Territories stone there too. But either way, he'd like to get 2 of those blue stones out of the house. They'll have to make their minds up as the rock is coming down the ice. James Paul throwing some weight at this. It might be straight back now. Will it jam? It will not. Over the top and make the double that way. But it is still the Northwest Territories sitting shot rock and buried. Just looks like the draw is the call to sit 2 here for Tom Nogler. Final draw of seeding pool play and one more draw of championship pool play that will take place tonight, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. You'll be able to watch that on Curling Canada Plus and TSN Plus as we wrap up the round robin at the 2023 Everest Seniors. Playoff games tomorrow here at the Vernon Curling Club. Semifinals at 8:30 a.m. And the men's gold and bronze medal games will take place at 12:30, followed by the women's gold and bronze games at 3:30. All the action all the time on Curling Canada Plus and TSN Plus. Final shot here for Tom Nogler. Trying to bury this. Top 4-ish. Might slide just a little bit deep, but does get the job done. It's the Territory sitting 2 and really not much of an option here for James Paul other than to see if he can follow that down with the draw against 2 Territory stones. So you got to say that was a very, very good end for the Northwest Territories. And it was all set up with a really, really nice angle tap earlier in the end. I think it was Corey Van Thyn that threw it. Final shot here in the first end. It's got backing at the back of the button, that stone that Tom Nogler just threw. The question is, line here. Will it curl enough? And now they're going to try and see if they can get it to curl. Now, did they leave it too long for weight? Mothy and Schmidt trying to drag it in. That looks like it'll finish up nicely. And there it is. Just a great shot, great judgment by that front end, and it will be Alberta that gets on the scoreboard first. They take one in the first end. The Territories will have hammer when we come back for the second after this. And we're back here at the Vernon Curling Club, second end of today's featured game in the seeding pool, men's action between the Northwest Territories and Alberta. The seeding pool will determine the final overall standings for the 2023 Everest Canadian Seniors, and that plays a role that will set up the pools for next year's Everest Seniors in Moncton, New Brunswick. And it also sets up the final standings that will be used in Curling Canada's MA Cup standings. The MA Cup stands for member associations, 14 member associations that are part of Curling Canada. And they all compete against each other based on their results in all of the Curling Canada National Championships. And their combined finishes in all of those championships determine who wins the MA Cup at the end of the season. Six sheets in play here this afternoon. Alberta getting some early pressure applied here in this second end, trying to follow up on that single point they scored in the first. Alberta arrived here in Vernon looking to win a Canadian Senior Men's Championship, trying to win for the first time since Wade White's win just 2 years ago in 2021. Alberta's had quite a history of success at the Everest Seniors. The Northwest Territories still looking for their first Canadian senior title, first Canadian championship of any kind. They've come close on a few occasions, but still looking for a first national gold medal in the sport of curling. Alberta's already in good shape here in this second end. Kelly Mothy now. Kelly is a member services specialist for Alberta Milk. Gets it around that high guard. The first one, it will crash on the second one, but still does leave Alberta sitting shot rock and buried. So Corey Van Thyn looks like they'll see if they can play the angle raise takeout. Corey is he's self-employed. He's the principal consultant of Corvan Consultants Limited, which conveniently happens to be a team sponsor for this team that's competing at the Everest Seniors. Corvan Consultants provide project management services and quantity surveyor services to various stakeholders in the north. Couldn't quite pull off the race takeout, so it is still Alberta sitting one, protected. And now Kelly Mothy will see if he can get another one in there. Schmidt and Klink trying to get it around, but it will wreck again. Not a bad leave, though, because it does stagger those, and really no access to that shot stone for Alberta. And again, Corey Van Thyn will take a attempt to try and clear out that granite in front of the rings, and should be good for a double peel here. Like to roll the shooter away as well, and that should be doable. Van Thyn, as mentioned, he calls the game, throws second. This team from Yellowknife. Want to move the shooter off there. That's a great result. Leaves it as a corner guard. Yes, it is still Alberta sitting shot. But now there's a glimmer of hope there from the Northwest Territories to get their deuce, as they have the double corners set up on that one side. But Alberta will do their best to protect that stone that's in the house, and Mark Klink will try and put another one in there behind the two guards. Schmidt and Mothy on the sweep. I like where this one's going. See that nice late finish. And a little tap, and it is Alberta sitting two protected. Brad Patzer now. He and Tom were both members of the Trevor Skoggy team that played in the bubble in the Brier 2021 in Calgary. Two Alberta stones. And it is Alberta that is leading 1-0. And Alberta sitting 1-2 in the house. Mark Klink trying to throw off another guard here. He put the first one in the rings. Just take about 6 to 8 feet off that first one, and he'll have a nice guard. And that will get the job done. Very, very nice. So now Brad Patzer will play the run back. Ask Corey to change the turn, so just a comfort level there, I guess, for the counterclockwise rotation. His out turn. Sweeper's called on it right away. He might have got that going. that will over curl. Does remove the guard that Mark Klink just threw, but it is still Alberta sitting 2. James Paul now will try the guard. James works for Warehouse Services, Inc., which is an auto parts and light industrial supplier. Worked there for 20 years as a sales rep. But we mentioned his passion for getting behind the wheel of really, really fast cars. He's a drag racing enthusiast. He's raced in a lot of NHRA and IHRA races all over North America, Rockingham, Memphis, Tennessee, Las Vegas. Has a muscle car, and he once lost the world final in Super Street, the Super Street division, so he knows his way around the quarter mile, does James Paul. Now does he know his way around a guard here? Alberta looking to protect those 2 in the rings. They were forced to 1 in the first end. And that rock should have just curled enough. Looking to see if they have a hole there. If they do, there's not a lot of air on either side, but Tom Nogler and Corey Van Thyn are going to take a close look. At worst, if they try and go through the hole and just feather tick the high one, they could possibly spill their shooter into the rings. It's hard to see what the separation is between the 2 of them. Looking at the angle from a distance here, I don't know if that tick into the house is actually there, but Brad Patzer down there as they're going to have a chat, see what's available here. It's getting to the point now that they got to be worried about, will Tom Nogler have any kind of a shot with his last? And it looks like they're actually going to play the draw to see if they can get there first. The thought being, of course, that Tom is likely going to have to play a draw in a second, so maybe get there first, get a good idea of draw weight, and maybe, just maybe, if James Paul misses on his chase attempt, he's got a draw for 2. First shot here in the second end for Tom Nogler. Starts to make it move. The question is it going to be, it's going to stop in time. Certainly had a nice line, but maybe just a little too much weight. We'll come to a rest at the back of the 4. They're going to take a quick look to see who's shot. That is too close to call from here. If I were a betting man, I'd probably say yellow. Now that Tom Nogler showed him the way, James Paul is going to try and follow it down. James Paul, final shot here in this second end. See those 2 stones that are biting the forefoot? It's just a question of who is closer. It's hard to tell on that overhead angle. Now here comes this shot from Paul. It's starting to move now. Just clears that first guard. Now it starts to bury. And that's a great shot from the Alberta skip. Maybe we don't know who's second shot, but there's no question who is shot rock right now as James Paul throws a roll. It was perfect. Mark Klink, great shot. And that, we talked about that long guard, and that, because it was so long, that shot was accessible. Now the Northwest Territories has to be careful here. They'd love to roll away from that situation, get as far over as possible. That's another nice shot. Brad Patzer. Two great rolls back to back by these third rock throwers. Very, very nice. And James Paul up 2-0. Does not want to give up 3 here. I mean, getting to the point now where it's going to be tough not to give up 2. He needs a miss from the Northwest Territories for that to happen. So now his job is just to make sure he doesn't open the door for more than 2. Right on the nose. Now Tom Nogler. We'll see if he can replicate that open hit. Don't know that he wants to roll behind the guard, quite honestly, because then that's an option for Alberta to look at perhaps freezing buried. So I think Northwest Territories would just as be happy to make this as a just right on the nose, or even roll just a little the other way from that guard, just a bit. Don't want to leave a double possibility, although it would be a tough double, and I don't know that Alberta would take it on, but I just don't think they want to roll behind the guard here. They're trying to keep this straight. Will it stay in the rings? It will not. It will over curl. And there's that miss we talked about that Alberta needed. Now, that said, that's not an easy shot for James Paul. I mean, you got to play it. There's no question about that. You can't hurt yourself playing it, but it's not a guaranteed make. That's for sure. Definitely not a patch of ice that they would, or a path that they would throw that often in practice. Going out to the wings with that kind of line. So a little bit of a guess here for Alberta. But a chance to get out of this end, and Northwest Territories would have the chance to blank, of course. On the sweep right now to keep it on line. Will it touch the guard? It will touch the guard. And that's why that was such a great roll over there behind that guard. Now it will be a draw, touch paint for a deuce for Northwest Territories. Good end of curling there. You knew that was going to be a tricky shot for James Paul. A chance to tie the game here for Tom Nogler. Get it on the paint and put 2 on the board. And they'll make it. And that will be a deuce for the Northwest Territories. So the Alberta that will have hammer in the third end and a tied game when we come back after this. Welcome back to the Vernon Curling Club as we head into the fourth end of this featured seeding pool game between the Northwest Territories and Alberta. It's a 2-2 tie, and Alberta will have last rock here in the fourth end. A pretty good game so far. Some nice rolls made by both teams. And as we said off the top, these are teams that certainly better than their records would indicate. We expected a good game between these two teams as they finish off their trip to the Everest Seniors. They'll be around tonight, I'm sure, hanging around the Vernon Curling Club. They've got a great social scene here, and then they'll be in the Everest Lounge over at the hotel, hanging with their fellow curlers, except for, I'm sure, the four semifinal teams, the 8 semifinal teams, 4 men's, 4 women's. They might want to get an early night in, but then big day tomorrow here at the Curling Club, as all those playoff games will be played, followed by the closing banquet. That draw will come up just a little short. So a couple center guards up there and slightly staggered. So let's see if Alberta or Northwest Territories can put a little pressure on Alberta. Final Canadian Championship event of 2023, the Everest Seniors. Of course, we'll kick things off in the new year as the Season of Champions gets underway with the 2024 Scotties Tournament of Hearts, February 16th to 25th. The Winsport Event Center in Calgary. I mentioned that was the site of the bubble events in 2021, so it'll be nice to have a good chunk of fans in there for the 2024 Scotties. Ticket sales have been extremely good for the 2024 Scotties, which is what you might expect from that very, very enthusiastic Southern Alberta curling community. From there, the Season of Champions will move over to Regina, the Brandt Center, for the 2024 Montana's Brier, presented by AGI, the first week in March. And a week after that, we'll be all the way out to Sydney, Nova Scotia, beautiful Cape Breton, for the 2024 BKT Tires World Women's Curling Championship. Of course, Team Canada will be the team that prevails at the Scotties in Calgary. A reminder, if you want to be a part of those Season of Champions events, well, look no further than curling.ca/tickets. That's where you'll find all the ticket options for all 3 of those events. Single draw, weekend packages, even full event passes. Curling.ca/tickets. Be a part of the Curling Canada Season of Champions. So it is the Territories sitting one behind cover. They're trying to draw all the way to that back one that was thrown by Alberta, and that's a nice shot by Corey Van Thyn. And Alberta decides they don't want any more of this. They're going to see if they can peel off those 2 center guards. Good start to this end for the Northwest Territories. Kelly Mothy here. Got 1, got 2. That's a pretty good result. Nice throw by Kelly Mothy. It's certainly the trouble stone for the Territories was certainly the one that was in front of the tee line. So that's behind the tee line. Alberta has second shot. So Corey Van Thyn's going to try and get another one behind that center guard. Corey Van Thyn throws second, calls the game for this Northwest Territories team. I think that one is going to be on the guard. They're trying to get around it, but still usable and a little more protection for that shot stone at the back of the button. And James Paul is going to ask if Kelly Mothie can just tap that stone a little back. Doesn't want it necessarily off the rings, just back 12 weight. He'll be covering the button, potentially sitting 2. Klink and Schmidt now have the responsibility of judging that weight. Here it comes. Back 12 was the call. That's a perfect result. Very, very nice shot. And I would say it is Alberta sitting a couple. Just a piece of that stone peeking out, the one that's on the button. And the call here for Brad Patzer is to roughly play the same kind of shot, just through weight, and it should curl up enough. Mogler and Deering trying to drag it far enough. Did it have enough weight? Yeah, the call was for just through weight, and it's a little light, but I'll tell you what, that's a good outcome for Northwest Territories. Basically, essentially, almost frozen on that shot stone, and if you're the Territories, you're thinking, well, that is a good way to cut them down to 1. You're on third rocks. So Mark Klink's going to try and see if he can follow it up and just get the angles more in Alberta's favor here. So it still is Alberta sitting shot. And they're going to wear this path down as Brad Patzer is going to throw essentially the same shot that's been thrown 3 times in a row by these teams. Sweepers are not touching this. Now Gearing may be seeing if they can carve it in a little bit. This might be a little heavier though. And it will slide through to the back. So it's Alberta sitting shot. Northwest Territories second. I would put my money on Alberta being third shot right now. Looks like James Paul is going to call for the double peel from Mark Klink. Just like that. Very nice. Oh, it's interesting. That stone that was just feathered over to the right-hand side in front of the house does certainly take away one of the paths. That counterclockwise rotation, the right-hander's out turn to the 4-foot, definitely not there because of that guard that was just pushed over to the side. Although they're still going to try it. I wonder if they're just playing the guard here and see if they can get the force on Alberta. That might be the call here. Tom Nogler now with his first shot here in this fourth end. Guard was the call. Trying to get as much finish as they can out of this. It'll get just to the center line. Well, it looks like there's enough of that Yellowstone right there that's available. That said, I'm not sure what it gets for Alberta. I don't know that they can protect their shooter that's shot rock. Sorry, protect the shot rock that's covering the button. But they are going to take a run at this. If they can get that Yellowstone, that is the highest in the house, it's in the 8-foot. If they can just make contact with a quarter of it, a half of it, does it push the blue Northwest Territories stone on top, over top of the shot rock? It may. That would leave Alberta sitting 2. That's why Northwest Territories was trying to get as much finish as possible and cover up this edge on the Yellowstone that James Paul is taking aim at now with his first shot here. Don't have to throw a ton of weight either, but it's important that they hit on the high side. Just about a quarter of a rock. Kelly Mothy at work trying to keep this straight. I think this is going to overcurl and get on the guard. It will, just barely. So that chance gets away from Alberta, and now chance for Nogler to put an even better guard up and take that shot away. It is Alberta sitting shot rock right on the button, and Tom Nogler is going to try and take that shot away that James Paul just barely missed on. Tom asking Corey Van Thyn to give him just a hair less ice. 2-2 tie here late in the late stages of the fourth end here. You can see the signal from Quentin Deering. That's a 3. He's referring to where in the free guard zone this stone should end up, but I would guess it's probably a little heavier than that. Well, it should come to a rest just in front of the house. Just comes in, top 12. Now, is that shot still there? Does not look like it is, so it'll be James Paul just drawing to the side of the button, trying to get a piece of the button. He's got 1 in the bank. Can he get 2? Final shot here in the fourth end. Alberta looking to see if they can get that second point and take a 4-2 lead into the fourth end break. All about judgment now for these Alberta sweepers. Neither one of them is looking at it, really. They looks like that is going to be just a little bit heavy and wide. And it will be just the single point for Alberta. but they will take a lead. It's 4-3 Alberta, 3-2 Alberta, and the teams will take a fourth end break. We will too. We'll be back after a few minutes to the Vernon Curling Club. Welcome back to the Vernon Curling Club as we head into the second half of this seeding pool finale draw here at the Vernon Curling Club, the 2023 Everest Canadian Senior Men's and Women's Curling Championships. My name's Al Cameron, bringing you our featured game between Alberta and the Northwest Territories, and it's been a good one. This team, two teams from Sherwood Park and Yellowknife. It is a 3-2 lead for Alberta as we head into the second half. This is the final game for both of these teams at the 2023 Everest Seniors. Looking to finish off with a W and be able to enjoy the Friday night and Saturday night socializing, which I am expecting there will be no shortage of. That rock will just come into the rings. It's been a good, entertaining game as these two teams are made a nice few rolls here and there, and that rock will slide a little bit deep. Once again, we keep working with Marianne Arsenault during this event, two-time world champion, and it's well known in curling circles that whenever you come out of the break, the fifth end or fourth end break, the ice is always going to be a little keener, and it seems like players tend to forget that, and they tend to throw them deep into the house. And we saw that Alberta Stone go in deep. Now we'll see if the Northwest Territories can put up the guard. Quentin Deering looks like he is thinking about it. It's a nice corner guard from the Territories as they have Hammer here in the fifth end, down by one. John Schmidt, the lead for the Northwest Territory, for Alberta. Mentioned he's the owner of a company called Smitty's Automotive Service Center, which is a smaller shop that services Sherwood Park and the surrounding areas. He wanted me to make sure to thank his crew that's working there over the past week, as he's been here throwing rocks at the Everest Seniors. That'll get partly around that corner guard. And Quentin Deering looking like he'll just try the corner freeze, I think. Territories had a nice deuce there in the third end and got the force on Alberta last end. Pretty good weight there from Quentin Deering. We haven't seen an awful lot of big weight takeouts, which is kind of nice in this game. These teams have been throwing good control weight. You know, the occasional peel where they've tried to throw something hard, but for the most part, very controlled weight, looking to see what they can do to manipulate the stones and keep their shooter in play, and that'll be a big element of this shot for Kelly Mothy. Might even be able to go across the face of that Territory stone and get behind the guard. Going to have to work to hold the shooter here, though, and watch out for the jam. Just like that. So that went across the face, the jam, and now looks like the Northwest Territories may be shot. And they could be sitting two. It's Corey Van Thyn, the skip, who throws second. Let's see if he can move that Alberta Stone just to the back 12, as Tom Nogler is indicating with his broom. You can see how much ice they're taking on this. You can see probably a good 2/3 of that yellow stone from the hack. Brad Pats are trying to get it to move over, though. Will it make contact? It does, in fact. And now the Territory is sitting two, but those stones Looking awfully tasty for Alberta. Make a hit and roll or a double. Looking like the hit and roll is going to be the call. Hit and roll frozen. Or just in front of it anyways. Don't need to throw a ton at it. Kelly Moffey throwing his intern. Clockwise rotation. Trying to hold the line here. There's the hit. There's the roll. That is perfect. Kelly Moffey, great shot there. Now, bit of a dilemma here for the Territories. As we said, it is now Alberta sitting shot. Now Corey Van Thyn's going to be asked to just play a little bit of a tap, shake up those angles so that the Yellowstone is not sitting on top of their own. They have this security blanket and knowing that likely if they make contact with the yellow onto the blue, that the blue goes straight back onto the yellow that's at the back of the house there. So this isn't about making rocks go away necessarily. It's just about changing up the angles. Just opening up some air between the yellow and the blue stones there. Almost like a split. Just a little bit lighter than they'd called, I think, but does end up in a nice spot. I would say that the Territories are shot, but so now Alberta is looking to move that stone that Northwest Territories just threw, and they'll take a nice shot there, and it actually does remove 2 Territory stones and leaves Alberta sitting 2. Nice shot there from Mark Klink. Double is potentially there, except for the fact, of course, that Alberta stone is pretty much dead buried. So they'll play the corner freeze to it and maybe see if they can set something up for later in the end. Brad Patzer. Can't say it enough that these two teams have played better than their records would indicate. They just haven't had a lot of rewards, and we're seeing a really good performance out of these teams today. There's another nice shot from Northwest Territories. Just does bounce out a little into the open. And but Mark Klink's going to have to be careful with this. Kelly Mothy sweeping that for line. There it goes. Just needs to get across the face a hair, just like that. And that is a dandy. What a shot, James Paul. And now it is Alberta sitting 2, dead buried. Now do they look at, see if they can get through that hole on the other side here? The angles certainly seem a little better on the counterclockwise rotation side. Patzer, Nogler, Van Thyn all having the discussion. There's also the angle raise. I don't know if they want to play with that. Be raising another Alberta stone in there. And of course, the straight back on that high guard, that's a tough one too. Essentially what it comes down to, there's nothing easy available for the territories. It's just a matter of which is the easiest of the tough shots. That's the kind of I think they are going to come through this port. It's going to stay on that yellow guard for quite some time. It's just they need to barely get by that. This is a tricky little shot looking at a couple here for Tom Nogler, but boy, oh boy, I don't know what else is there. Of course, he's going to make this for fun, and we'll just look bad by saying it's a tough shot. Nah, that was easy. You could drive a Mack truck through that port, he'll say. So Tom Nogler, his final shot here in this sixth end. A big shot looking at 2 Alberta stones. Alberta with hammer. He's got to make one of these at least go away, if not both of them. Now they got to get it to curl. It's going to be on that yellow, and it will. So maybe a little more weight. Maybe he was a little full of the broom, and maybe the shot wasn't even there. But I think it was worth a go. And now here's a shot for a potential 4 spot for Alberta. Open hit on that Northwest Territory stone in the back 8. And 4 will go on the board for James Paul and this team from Sherwood Park. Great try there from Tom Nogler, but just did not want to curl. Final shot, 6th end, and it will be a count of 4 for Team Alberta. They will take a 7-3 lead. Northwest Territories will have hammer when we come back for the 7th end after this. Welcome back to the Vernon Curling Club, and big momentum swing there in that 6th end as Alberta scores 4 to take a 7-3 lead. We can tell you there is our first final to report. It is Team New Brunswick, their women's team, skipped by Shelley Graham, goes down to defeat against PEI's team Susan McInnes. And we'll report the final score as soon as the umpire puts it up. We're watching carefully. It was 10-2, and I think that PEI scored 3 in that 6th end, although They've posted threes on both ends of it. So, but I will say it is a 13-2 win for Prince Edward Island, Team Susan McInnes. And Team PEI finishes this competition with a 6-3 record. New Brunswick will finish at 2-7. And in our game, Northwest Territory is looking to see what they can do to answer back after giving up that 4. Corner guard will go up for the Northwest Territories. Just comes down to that one shot that Tom Nogler tried to get through. But first, let's face facts. The first shot thrown by James Paul, the really lovely hit and roll, made the difference in that end. Didn't give too much of an option for Tom Nogler to do anything else other than come through that tricky port, and just maybe a little outside of the broom, and that opened the door for James Paul to make the hit for 4. So Alberta's got one half buried in that 4 foot. The center guard is up. Now Quentin Deering will look to get one in. Another corner guard up for the Territories. Been a great game until that last end there. That stone comes into the house for the Territories, and a bit of a miss there. And now a chance for Alberta to remove that Territory stone. You just see the air coming a little bit out of the sails for the Territories after giving that 4 ball up in the 6th end. So Alberta can go into a little bit of defense mode here, though. That's what they'll like to do here to protect this lead. Good way to finish out if Alberta can pull this off. Nice end to what had been a little bit of a disappointing week for the 2022 silver medalists. But still plenty to play for. The Alberta Senior Championships, like most of the member associations, they'll hold their provincial and territorial senior championships later this season. That will determine the teams that will travel to the 2024 Everest Seniors that will take place in Moncton, New Brunswick. A lot of significant curling going to be taking place in Atlantic Canada over the next 2-3 years. Later this season, of course, the Canadian Colleges and U Sport University Championships will take place in Fredericton, along with the Canadian Mixed Doubles Championship. That'll take place in mid-March. We mentioned already the BKT Tires World Women's Curling Championship. Let's get that right. World Women's Curling Championship will take place at Center 200 in Sydney, in beautiful Cape Breton. That'll take place in the middle of March. And of course, next season, during the New Year's break, late 2024, early 2025, the Canadian Mixed Doubles Trials that will decide our Olympic team will take place in Liverpool, Nova Scotia. Of course, we've had a lot of great events in Liverpool over the years. The pre-trials most recently, as well as the World Junior Curling Championships 2019, as well as the Canadian Under-21 Championships in 2014. So we'll be going back to Liverpool for the Canadian Mixed Doubles Trials. Then in the fall of 2025, the 4-player pre-trials that will decide the last men's and women's entries into the main trials. That will take place in Wolfville, Nova Scotia in October 2025. And then a few weeks later, we head to Halifax for the Canadian Curling 4-player trials. That will decide our 4-player teams for the 2026 Winter Olympics in Milan Cortina, Italy. So if you're an Atlantic Canada curling fan, wow, lots of big events in the near future. And of course, a big Grand Slam event was announced in St. John's the other day for the Mary Browns Center in St. John's. So good times on the horizon in Atlantic Canada. Our game, you see 2 Alberta Stones in that 4-foot. You got a couple corner guards up there for Northwest Territories, but the Territories firmly in chase mode now here, trying to generate something after giving up that 4-ball in the 6th end. Good solid performance up and down this Alberta lineup. Imagine almost mixed feelings for this Alberta team because we're seeing what they're capable of today. Certainly better than that 2-6 record was coming into today's game. Look no further for evidence than the silver medal they won at this event last season in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia. So Brad Patzer will try and remove that center guard. Important to hold the shooter here. I'd like to maybe put it on the rings, even roll it on to the rings behind those corner guards. Will it spin in? It will just hang outside the rings. Good try there, though. Got another guard up there in play. And Alberta will continue to try to protect that shot stone at the top of the 4-foot. Mark Klink now. That looks like it'll end up in a nice spot. Good throw there by Mark Klink, and it's a little higher up too. So I wonder if the Territories might now consider coming through that port. Not a big port, not a small port, not a big one either. But yeah, they're going to take a run at it. Brad Patzer with the counterclockwise rotation, his out turn. Should be enough movement there. Trying to keep it wide of the line. Don't want it to wreck on that center guard. Must be close. Right through the port and the roll. Love this to stay on the rings. It'll just, spin back in. Wow, a little bit of body English on that stone, and it comes right back in. Evidence of those sharp rocks here that they were just sanded on the Wednesday prior to the beginning of this championships, and they have held up beautifully, as has this entire ice surface. Mike Merklinger, the chief ice technician, the son of Vernon Curling Club manager Dave Merklinger, of course, a veteran ice maker in his own, has that great reputation, Dave Merklinger, for putting together championship ice all around the world. Now his son is taking up the reins. Dave would have made ice here, of course, but he is the co-chair of the organizing committee along with Mark Longworth. So Mike has come in and done a remarkable job. Mike does a lot of the ice in various clubs around this region. So it was an easy road trip for him. Living in the Kamloops area now. So there's the hit. It'll roll just behind those guards. Alberta sitting shot, up 4, and really time running out for the Northwest Territories. They'll try and get one behind into the 4-foot, buried. But Alberta being up 4 with just 2 ends to play, they won't mind giving up 2 and carrying that hammer into the last end. First shot here in this 7th from Tom Nogler. They need to get this buried. I'll just slide behind the tee line, but certainly behind cover, although we did see a moment ago that port is manageable. Let's see what the Alberta tries out here. Maybe they'll just play the draw. No point in messing around. That rock sliding behind the tee line certainly made this call easier to make. They saw the path, they saw the line, they know what kind of weight to throw at it. And if they can get one welded onto that territory stone, well, it's going to be awfully tough for the territories to score here. Final shot here in the 7th for James Paul. Sweeper's not touching it. Should make its move here pretty quick. Or did he throw a little too much weight at this? Oh, there it comes. But it will bounce a little into the open, so a little crack in the door and perhaps a shot at 2 here for the territories. Final shot here in the 7th end. Northwest Territories looking to see if they can draw within 2. Alberta was shot rock, but certainly accessible for Tom Nogler. Got this path figured out now. Both these teams have used it a couple times here this end, so that looks like a very nice throw from Tom Nogler, and that will get the job done. So it will be a deuce for the Northwest Territories, but it will be Alberta with that 7-5 lead and last rock when we come back for the 8th end after this. All right, play underway here in this 8th end, and it is Alberta with a 7-5 lead in last rock in what's been a pretty entertaining game. The only thing that stands out is that 4 in the 7th end, or in the 6th end, that Alberta put up. Other than that, very, very good shot making from both these teams. And that one will go to the back of the house. The tick was the call there. I haven't seen too many ticks, but we've seen 2 today called, and that one that was allowed because that Northwest Territory stone not touching the center line, but that will go out the back of the house for Alberta, and that's just fine by them. They don't want any rocks in play here. Rocks in play certainly will help the Northwest Territories, and they will help Alberta. Now, you don't like to see that if you're the Northwest Territories. They want that rock in front of the house, and it will slide to the back 8 and into the 12-foot, just at the back 8. And easy decision here for Alberta. Let's just hit it and make it go away. They'd love to roll the shooter out. They don't need to hold the shooter. In fact, they don't want to hold this shooter. And nice opportunity for Alberta lead John Schmidt to actually throw a hit. So many leads now just specializing in playing the perfect guard. They don't get to play an awful lot of hits anymore, but there was a hit and well executed by John Schmidt. Now the countdown begins as Alberta starts counting down those those Northwest Territory stones. They've got to find a way to make 2 of them count and to do it without last rock. That's a tall order. Four other sheets still in play here as the seeding pool closes down. Now I see handshakes in front of me as we see that the Yukon team Terry Miller from Whitehorse will be a 6-4 winner over Nunavut's team Peter Mackey. Now those Battle of the Norths you always like to see. A 6-4 final for Yukon. Now the peels will start. Kelly Mothy. Ideally, could get both of those stones, but just make one of them go away at the very least. Which he does. Quick reminder, we'll be back on the air at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern tonight here on TSN Plus and Curling Canada Plus, the final round of the championship pool round robin. And when that comes to an end, we will know the teams that are still alive to play for gold on Saturday. The 4 semifinalists for the men's and women's playoffs will be decided after that championship pool finale tonight at 6 p.m. No tiebreaker games at the Everest Canadian Seniors. So they will break ties based on first head-to-head performance against the tied teams, within the tied teams. And if that doesn't resolve it, they will use the last shot draw distance from the pregame draw to the button. Another draw, another peel attempt here for Kelly Mothy. Peel is made. Now we're on to third rocks here for the Northwest Territories. I'd say it's safe to say this is a lot closer to the kind of performance we expected from Alberta coming into these Everest Seniors. So They'll head home on a high note. Good way to finish this off. Territory's bringing one in now. That will get buried very nicely. Good shot there by Patzer. And Mark Klenk will just play the straight peel. Roll the shooter away. That's the idea, anyways. Don't want to leave that shooter up there. He might get the run back. No, it doesn't. So a little crack in the door here now. Northwest Territories sitting one. Got that Alberta stone that is just in front of the house. Now a chance to throw another guard. Brad Patzer. See if they can put a little pressure on Alberta. If you're drawing up the 2 steal, this is the way that you would do it. Get one in there, throw a guard, and then hope for a miss. So far, they've got that miss. They'll need another miss. Let's face it, they steal 2, but you can't steal 2 unless you're in this position right now. So now Mark Klenk will be asked to remove that guard that was just thrown. And look out. That is not on the rings, but it's a little tighter. Now we're on to Skip Rocks, and Northwest Territories still hanging in there. 2 rocks to play. The guard will be the call here. Might want to Christmas tree this a little bit, though, too. One just kind of half buried in the 8-foot. Tom Nogler with his first shot here in this 8th end. Territories down by 2, but hanging on here in this 8th end. Got it way out there. See Brad Patzer trying to sweep it a little bit to get a little bit of curl. They wanted to Christmas tree this, but it looked like it's going to freeze to their own stone. And this could be it. Well, even if they make this, there's still a chance for Northwest Territories. Not much of one, but depends on what the shooter does here for James Paul. Just a little bit deep with that one was Tom Nogler. Needed to curl, another 8 to 10 inches and a little bit lighter, and that would have been a good shot. Right in the nose will make both of these go away for James Paul. Did he get this tight, though? Is that going to be on the guard? It is going to be on the guard. Oh, my. Well, now, Northwest Territories sitting 2 on the button and in the top of the 4-foot, down by 2, needing to steal 2, and they're going to call a timeout. And I'll tell you what, this is not out of the realm of possibility. If they play a short guard all that James Paul really could do is play the run back double and see if he can get two of those Northwest Territories stones out of the circles. Otherwise, I think we're going to an extra end. Northwest Territories talking it out where they want to put this stone, what turn they want to play. It's pretty basic, though. Find a place to protect it. Biting the 12 on the center line. And then turn it over to James Paul, and let's see what you can do. Alberta with a 2-point lead and last rock. And again, as we said, if you're drawing up the scenario to steal 2, it has played out exactly the way the Northwest Territories needed it to. A couple of misses, jams on third rocks from Alberta has resulted in the Northwest Territories having a chance to guard 2 perfect stones that are in the forefoot, one biting the button. Tom Nogler, his final shot here. Deering and Patzer with the job of judging the weight. Starting to move. They don't want this too deep. And that will come in a little deeper than they'd hoped. Now they'll just drag it on. And that might have been just too much weight by about 4 feet. Still, this is no gimme for Alberta. James Paul needs to hit this right on the nose, maybe just a hair on the center line side of the nose in order to win the game. Final shot here for James Paul. That seemed just a little bit wide. I think we're going to an extra end. We sure are. The steal of 2 for the Northwest Territories. It's a tie game. We will play overtime here at the Everest Canadian Seniors. We'll be right back after this. Well, clearly these teams were not ready for their trip to the Everest Seniors to be done because they're going to play a little overtime here. It is a 7-7 tie. The Northwest Territories steal a pair in the 8th end, and it will be Alberta with last rock advantage in the extra. But we expected a good game between these two teams. We got it. Alberta's taking that 4 And that helps the cause for Alberta, as they should be able to make a double peel on those at some point. Not touchable now, so Alberta lead John Schmidt will be asked to come around and see if he can get one to the top four. Again, does not want to be deep. Those rocks behind the tee line would certainly aid the Territories in their steal attempt. Three other games on the ice. All of them are in the eighth end. We'll update those as they come to a conclusion. That stone didn't curl enough for Alberta, but it is in front of the tee line, so that's useful. The Territories will continue to see if they can put a little more garbage up in front of the house, because that'll make life a little tougher for Alberta. Another guard up there, but now Alberta can start peeling. Kelly Mothy will be asked to see if he can get a couple of those Blue Territory stones out of play. We'll get a peel of one of them anyways, so I assume we'll see the Territories continue to try and put stones out in front. At some point, you just know that if they can keep putting those guards up, we'll see if they can just tap that Alberta shot stone at the side of the forefoot and roll over behind cover. But of course, they're going to have to make a bunch of guards here to... And again, as we said last end, and little did we know how prophetic it would be, they'll need a miss or two out of Alberta. Corey Van Thyn playing the guard here. We will tell you that Ontario, Brian Cochran's team from Ottawa, and just watching them just now, they had an emotional embrace on the ice. This is the former Canadian and world senior men's champions from Ottawa. They do finish off their trip to the 2023 Everest seniors with a win in the Battle of Ontario. They get one in the eighth for a 4-3 win, but that's just been a great team for a lot of years, Brian Cochran, and we'll see if they take another run at it, see if they can get to Moncton next year. 2019 World Senior Men's Champions. They won that gold in Stavanger, Norway. So another peel is made. Now Brad Patzer. Two guards up, two Alberta stones in the house. But again, if you're thinking about how to generate a steal, so far this end has gone. And there you see the applause that greets, you might hear it in the background, the applause that's greeting Team Ontario, Brian Cochran's team, as they come off the ice here. Nice moment with friends and family for the Ontario men. Meanwhile, there's another guard played by the Northwest Territories. They got three up there. And suddenly the angle is a little dangerous here for Alberta. They're going to have to change their shot play the peel on that side. This is Mark Klink. Again, they got to be careful with these jams. And that's actually a decent result, but not the perfect result for Albert. It does remove one of the stones at the back of the house that could have been a catcher, but it does leave that Alberta stone that was just thrown by Mark. It leaves it up as a corner guard, and that could be troublesome for James Paul later in this end. It certainly takes one of the turns away, probably. Now I think the Territories are going to look at coming around, or are they going to play the little tap and lie here? And that applause continues for the Ontario men's team. Brian Cochran, very, very popular with the fans here. And one more final to tell you about. None of it